Right, hello everyone, welcome back. We're doing a quick tutorial now on basically loading in a synth, a software instrument synth from Logic into your file, and then we're going to be talking about editing some of the parameters within a synth patch and then saving your own synth patch. Okay, so let's get started. I've got a really simple drum loop in there. Let me just press play. Yeah, so we're just going to be creating a synth patch to sit over the top of this drum loop. Right, so in Logic, all synths exist as software instruments, okay? So you press plus to add a new software instrument, highlight software instrument, and then you come to the drop-down menu. So here are different synthesizers in Logic. There's the ES1, the ES2, there's this vocal synthesizer here. You have Alchemy as a synthesizer. You have EFM1 is a frequency modulation synth. Then you have the ESE, which is an ensemble synth. They all do different things, but they are all synths, okay? So I'm going to show you, first I'll show you the ES1 really quick, and then we'll go into Alchemy as well, because there's some better sounds within Alchemy. So, software instrument, ES1 synthesizer, create. So then it gives us a software instrument channel here. Let's call this Synth 1. Synth 1. Can't even spell. Synth 1. There you go. Right, so here's Synth 1. This is our channel strip for Synth 1. As you can see, it says Synth 1 down the bottom. So to look at our synth, same as all other instruments, we double click the middle here and it's going to bring up our synth. So there we go. There's the synth, right? The channel's armed. So if I bring up my keyboard with Command and K, I can start to play some sounds. Okay, so this is the default sound within the ES1 synthesizer. So what we need to do is we need to edit the sound and then save our own patch. Okay, so there's a few things we can do on the synth. I'll give you a brief overview of the synthesizer. So here you have what's called oscillators. Okay, these are waveform generators. So they generate waveform. A waveform is the sound we hear. Okay, so there's two oscillators here and there's a mix between the two. So if I go straight up here, we're only going to hear this one oscillator. If I go to the bottom, we're only going to hear this oscillator. Right, so I'm going to stick to just one oscillator just to keep it basic. And right now we're on this sawtooth wave here, okay? So there's a triangle wave. If we move to the triangle wave, you can see the dial moves. There's a pulse wave. If we click there, pulse wave, and a square wave up here, okay? So different waves have different sounds. So this is the square wave. Here's the sawtooth. Not too different. The triangle. Okay, and then the pulse wave. So they all have different sort of qualities, yeah? So the oscillator generates a sound wave, and the shape of the wave determines the tone of the sound, if you want to think of it like that. Yeah, so we've already changed the sound by changing the sound wave. So that's one way to change your sound. Yeah, this here is going to be pitches. So the lower or the higher the number, the lower the pitch. So on 2, we're going to get higher pitches. Obviously, if I come up my octaves on my keyboards, we get higher and lower pitches in the synth. So that's the oscillator section. Okay, this middle section here is what's called a filter. Okay, and it acts very much like EQ. You should have watched the videos on EQ by now. If you haven't, then go and watch the video on EQ, and it'll explain what EQ is doing. But basically, it's taking out certain frequencies from the sound. So this is a filter or an EQ within the synth. So if you listen, if I move this cut off, we're getting just low end, and as I bring it up, we're getting more high end. So the filter cutoff is going to change where the filter is cutting frequencies. So the cutoff is basically at what frequency are we going to cut off. Yeah, so if I go low, we're only getting low end sort of sounds. The more I bring in, the more high end stuff we get, okay? So that's another way to change your sound. I won't go into any of the other stuff in the filter, but if you look for cutoff, then you'll be able to sort of mold your sound furthermore just using that parameter, okay? So we've already changed the sound from the original, so we could just go ahead and save this. But first of all, let's look at an already existing patch. So we go to factory default, come down to these presets here, and I'm just going to go for synth pad and bright swell pad. Okay, so click that, and now we get so this is a preset sound. Okay, we don't want to use preset sounds in our projects or in our songs, so what we want to do is change this now. So we've loaded up the bright swell pad, and again, I don't need to worry about what's going on down here at the minute, but we're just going to change the waveform, and we're going to change the cutoff a bit and see what it sounds like. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of stuff going on in that sound due to the preset. I will briefly explain these down here. So you get ADSR. So the attack, the decay, the sustain, and the release. The attack is how long it takes the sound to come in. So with a short attack, it comes in straight away. With a long attack, I press the button, and it takes a while to come in. Okay, so I'll skip decay and sustain for now, but release is how long the sound stays on after you leave your finger off the key. So if I have a short release, as soon as I release the key, the sound stops. With a high release, if I press the button and release the key, the sound is going to stay. Because the release is up full, it's going to stay for quite a while. So there you go. So we've changed our sound here in our synth. From the bright swell pad, we've edited the cutoff, we've edited the waveform a little bit, and we've changed the release. So now it just sounds like this. I mean, comedic. But anyway, the point is we've changed the sound from the bright swell pad. Now, if we want to save this, we come to the drop down menu up the top here, we go to save. Press save. That's going to allow us then to save our own sound within this ES1 folder here within the Logic plugin settings folder. So we've already got one save called Louis Bass from previous. I'm going to save this demo synth. Save that. Press enter. And now this has changed here to demo synth. So now we've created our own patch from a pre-existing patch. We've edited some parameters and we've saved it as our own. Okay, and that's how you want to be approaching most of your synth patches. Unless you want to build one from scratch, you will need a sort of advanced understanding of synths if you want to build patches from scratch. But I'll quickly do one other demonstration with the Alchemy. Okay, so change this ES1 to Alchemy. I'll just go to the drop down here, choose Alchemy, boom. Now that's changed to the Alchemy synth. As soon as it loads, there we go. So now it's given us a bunch of presets that we can use straight off. So I'm going to go to synth leads, and I'm just going to go across subcategory. Let's go analog, let's go drum and bass, let's go clean, and it's giving us here. If you don't want to be looking at any of these, you can turn them all off and just pick a random sound. Let's go 80s pop lead. So I click that once, it loads in, and then so long as my track is armed, we're getting different sounds. So again, this is the preset. We don't want that. We want to change some parameters in Alchemy. So in Alchemy, we want to go from this browser window. We want to change some parameters on this. So we go over to either simple, which is going to give you a few parameters, or advanced, which is going to give you all of the parameters on the synth. Okay, so similar to the ES1, we have a filter in this section here. There's actually two filters on this. This is why I showed you the ES1 first, because the Alchemy is a little bit more complicated, but still, we still have our cutoff here, so we can change that. Yeah, so you can hear. So here we've cut off some of the high end. It hasn't gone right to the bottom. Maybe I'll change our filter type to high pass. And there we go. And you can hear the filter working a bit better then. So just highs, bring it down, getting more lows, more lows. Yeah, so I've changed one of the parameters on the sound already. So now here we have our sources. These are equivalent to the oscillators in the ES1. So we can change the tune. Let's change the tune on these oscillators. And we get a different sound entirely. Yeah, so we've changed the pitches of our oscillators here. So I don't want you to go in and mess around with much more things in here. Just tweak a bit of the filter, tweak a bit of the pitch of the oscillators, get your own sound going that's different to the original patch. And then same as before, you go up to the top, you go save as, and you can save your patch here. Right, so Alchemy, I'm going to save it as demo 2, save that. And then whenever you open up your Alchemy in another project, or you open up your ES1, depending on what you've saved as, you can always bring up these save synth patches then, okay? So that's saving a synth patch and editing a synth patch. Really basic, but yeah, get that in your projects, and good luck, and yeah, see you on the next one.